Welcome to the blow-off.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the hour where there's nothing left to prove. Experimental lack of concern. Picture a perfect world being burned. This is the maniacal hour. Pure 100% underground. Powered by the emotion of self-passion. This is how we get down. Extra read all about it. Evidence coming to take control. Extra read all about it. Evidence coming to take control. Lock and load, steal souls and watch it explode. Dispatch the death squad and watch it go. Serial killers, cadavers, murderous psychos. As the hour goes, it takes the time. Expires as we live dead, revitalized. Surprised by the high with red still in our eyes. The pleasure is all ours to give you the power. This is the maniacal hour.
Your mic is off again.
My mic is off. Well, can you hear
Now
me
it's
now?
on. There, you're on now.
That shouldn't have happened. But anyway, again, technical difficulties. But welcome to the blow-off. I'm your host, Jimmy T. And my co-host, as you just heard him, he's the gardener, PF Doom. He is Dr. Jeff Lippman. Welcome back to the blow-off, my friend. How's things? What's going on?
All right, so I got my third vaccine yesterday, and then went to a birthday party last night for one of La Sicaria's friends. So it was an all South American party. So I drank some Peruvian version of tequila and some whiskey, and so I'm like twice hungover. It's like I got hit by a bus and drank.
I didn't know there was Peruvian tequila, actually, Jeff. I mean,
Well,
how is that?
It's called something else, but it tastes like tequila. On the front end, it's smoother and sweeter. On the back end, you can tell, you can get the tequila flavor, like the mezcal or whatever you make tequila from. But I think there's a little bit more. It's smoother, but it's the same. It's an easier shot. It's less shocking at the front.
Jeez.
But it works.
I've never tasted it, man. I've never heard of it, so I'm actually intrigued by Peruvian tequila. Find out what it's called.
It's called like Ascavela or Ascavera. I don't know, Ascameyer.
Ascavera.
Everyone's speaking Spanish, so I mean, you know,
Hola.
I get what I can.
Oh, beautiful, man. Well, man, it's been a bit of a.
So that's the PF. The Garner PF Doom is PF stands for pretty fucked.
I was thinking, what is the PF like stand for? I didn't think pretty fucked.
It was a typo. It was a typo. It's supposed to be of, but I'm gonna go with it and say pretty fucked.
I don't know if that's a coincidence or not, but just quietly, man. Am I looking all slow motion to you right now while I talk?
Don't know. Have I ever seen you in fast motion?
No. Well, to me on the video, it's kind of looking a bit jaggy, but I don't know. You seem to hear me all right.
I hear you fine. What it is that like it's like half your body is invisible, so I can't really see if you're slow motion or not, because the like parts of your shoulder are disappearing and reappearing, and like your right ear is being cut off and then appears again. So I'm more focused on like like some horror movie that I'm seeing, like Unanimator.
Well, technically, you shouldn't be able to see my ears, Jeff, because I'm wearing headphones. But still.
Well, it's the headphones that are being disappeared, and then your giant rabbit ears are showing up.
Oh, shit. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that one. Well, anyway, let's talk about some professional wrestling, man. Mm-hmm. That's what the blow-off is all about. It's all about the news, for the week. We had a big last week with WrestleMania weekend and all that, and all the events that went on. But now, after the smoke is settled and everything is as clear as day, it doesn't seem as newsworthy as we had last week.
Not been a pretty slow week, which, I mean, for those of us who do 900 podcasts a week, that's probably okay. We could use a breath, could use a little relaxation. But yeah, I mean, I think the highlights were Raw, Cody coming back. I think the low light was the Hardys tables match on Wednesday night. SmackDown had, Raw had some returns. SmackDown had some debuts and returns, but it was sort of not an exciting show. Rampage, I thought, was abysmal. So, and MLW and NWA were MLW and NWA. I did watch the most recent 3 episodes of New Japan Strong this week. I don't know if I said that this week.
Wow. No, you didn't, actually.
There is zero reason to watch that. First of all, you can see almost all those guys in other shows, sometimes with different names. But it like looks like NWA. They move a little bit like MLW, but there's no fans. And no fans with wrestling is death. And no fans with wrestling is not a choice when you have other choices. And there's, I mean, really still like what I watched like 20 hours of wrestling this week, not including WrestleMania.
Jeez, that's a good effort, Jeff. Seriously, that is a very good effort. But back to what you were saying about New Japan Strong Style, to be specific, you're right, man. As much as I want to watch that, right, like, you know, as frequently as possible, every time I do watch it, just having no fans there, and you can hear absolutely everything, what's going on around the ring, in the ring, it kind of just leaves you sort of just staring into space, even though there's some strong cards, I feel like every week with Strong Style. But how many people are actually watching it?
Well, very few. I mean, this week, as of, this week, the show, like the last 2 weeks, they did like 5,600 or 5,200 and like 6,600. 3 weeks ago was their top show, which, or 4 weeks ago, did 13,000. But then, the next show after that, like crossed 10,000 barely after 3 weeks.
Wow.
So, I mean, they're doing about that. Like they're on the descent. They had an apex and a descent, and regular New Japan on Access continues to get clobbered, whether Impact goes up or not. Now, Impact also got clobbered. Impact, who had that recovery week last week of 149,000, which, I mean, years ago we would have laughed at that, but now that's good for them. It's getting back to like Tessa champion days, or pre-Kenny days.
Right.
But they lost 60,000 viewers in 1 week to 89,000. So, I mean, is it too early to play taps for that promotion?
Wow, they're like the cockroaches of professional wrestling, Jeff. Every time you think they're going to die, they just don't die. So I don't think they're going anywhere, to be honest with you.
No, you're probably. I mean, they're owned by their TV station. They're
right.
So, I mean, as long as they're happy and they keep within the budget, that their budget, that's fine. And they have a lot of people come and go and things like that. But yeah, so New Japan Strong. So, I mean, unless you really want to see Ken Narita and Clark Connors, who's injured anyway, and Carl Fredericks, there's nothing else special. I mean, the other people, you can see Danny Limelight as Rivera all over the place. TJP was on. You can see him on MLW and a million other places. You can see who the fuck was the other dude that was on? I don't know. There's Team Filthy. So if you're interested in seeing Tom Lawler,
right.
Yeah, he's got 2 jabronis. I can't remember who they were, but they joined with like the West Side Connection or something, which was Royce Isaacs and Danny Limelight, who's Danny Rivera or Rivera from 5150. So, and then Hikuleo was out there. It took him about 15 minutes to beat up somebody. And then he said, "Whew, that was easy. I need some competition." Juice Robinson walks out. "Oh, the Juice is here. You want competition? I'm right here." Oh, it was Wheeler Yuta who was on also. So,
really?
Obviously, this was from like probably 9 months ago or something like that. So that's how delayed these tapings are. I mean, because first of all, his body looks completely different. Like he had abs, he had lines where his chest is, and whatever. I mean, he's still not a big guy, but he's defined. Like if he was your lifeguard, you'd be like, cool, good, lifeguard. But if you saw the guy on AEW and he was your lifeguard, you'd be like, I'm not sure he can carry me.
Wow. I mean, what's he? It's not like AEW has like a daily sort of. Sorry about the phone in the background. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's decent.
I just figured it was you thinking hard.
Yeah, no, it's not my phone, man. My phone's on silent. But anyway,
I just figured that your brain made a cartoon song when you were thinking hard.
Maybe it did. But back to Wheeler Yuta. How can he be more in shape back then and now? Like, it's not like AEW has house shows every other day that they don't do TVs. I mean, come on. What excuse does he have?
How can they be in better shape before AEW? I mean, almost everyone who joins AEW was in better shape before AEW. I mean, almost all. There's like a few guys who stayed the same. Pac, who's always in shape. Brian Cage, who really doesn't work for AEW. I mean, he's there, but he doesn't do anything. Rusev Miro came into AEW looking ripped, but if you saw him, while he was working steadily, he started to get unripped again. Maybe he's ripped again because he's not working. But Will Hobbs is the only one who has noticeably improved their physique. I mean,
big time.
Oh, and Santana and Ortiz, but Santana, like Ortiz, has just gotten smaller, so he's looks more ripped. I mean, he looks good, but Santana's got bigger and jacked. But
yeah,
and Jericho recently, but everyone else has pretty much gotten out of shape. I mean, yeah, I guess Moxley, it took rehab to get him into a different form of shape, but I don't know. Most of them sort of stayed the same. I mean, Guevara got bigger, then he got smaller again. I don't know, the Young Bucks, for a while they were doing the double bicep, and there was a bicep there, but not anymore.
Well, Kenny seemed bigger too, actually, Jeff, I thought.
For a bit. But, I mean, I'm going to give Kenny a pass because, like, when you can't lift your shoulder and your back is killing you, it's sort of hard to do weights or anything.
Yeah, I mean, his knees, his back. I mean, and when you think about it, for all those years that he was performing the way he was he ever taking time off? He never really took any time off, but really he was hurting that whole time, dude.
I'll take your word for it because I it's not because I'm saying he wasn't. It's just I don't know what New Japan's schedule is like or what he did. I mean, I knew who he was. I saw some of the matches, and every now and then he was on Ring of Honor when they had New Japan.
Right.
But I have no idea what their schedule is like. I mean, they seem to be on a taping schedule where they have a lot of free time.
Yes and no. It all depends on what's going on. Like if it's the G1 Climax, I mean, these guys are working every day pretty much, you know what I mean? Except for like a random day off during, mid sort of tournament. But like, that's pretty crazy, you know what I mean? And same with the New Japan Cups and the Junior Cups and tournaments that they have and all that stuff. But yeah, and then sometimes it can be very quiet, you know what I mean? So, But anyway, we'll get to some New Japan news later on, actually. So,
really?
Not that you care really, though, Jeff. I mean,
I can pretend for Jargo's sake. Do tell.
Funny. Well, we'll start with WWE though. What do you think of SmackDown this past week, Jeff? Well, yesterday, shall I say? Or the day before?
Friday. Friday Night SmackDown. Not much, to be honest. I mean, it was mostly filler and recaps of WrestleMania, which I guess is to be expected. But there were no real big surprises. You had, I mean, I guess the news is Roman's next step is that the Usos need to unify the tag team titles. So they're obviously, taking more time to evaluate him. Nakamura came out, to challenge him, and Roman said, "Hey, listen, the tribal chief is benevolent and feels empathy. You lost your partner. You need a tribal hug." And he gave him a hug. And as soon as the hug ended, Nakamura looked confused, and the Usos gave him a super kick party. So, So the Usos are going to Raw this week to challenge the RK Bros for the titles. And I wonder if Nakamura will get involved with or without another partner.
I'm hearing little, even though it's a no shit sort of tidbit, right? Because you know how all these dirt sheets are, right? Obviously, you see what we saw on television. So naturally, everyone's like, well, Shinsuke Nakamura is your next challenger for your unified WWE Universal Championships, right? And then now I was just looking, and now apparently it's going to be Drew McIntyre moving forward, right? Apparently on house shows, they've been advertising that, it's going to be him and
they've been facing each other in house shows for months, though. I mean, that is really nothing new, but yeah, I mean, that's the rumor about the next push. But before there's a push, there's usually a transitional feud. So you could have Nakamura being, in one pay-per-view, but we don't know Roman's status. I mean, I am of the belief that they'll give Nakamura like another partner, whether it's someone from NXT, they have him come out with LA Knight or whatever, something like that. But we'll see. Anyway, I'm not sure. I mean, good for Nakamura that he's got something else going on, but it doesn't seem to be much of anything. I just got a note from Chris Ham saying, yes, the Gardener of Doom is official. Or PF
Shout out
Doom.
to Mr. AMBS, bullshit in the morning himself.
Doom. Right. He didn't notice my typo either.
It's the PF Doom, Chris. PF, right. Pretty fucked up.
We're pretty fucked, right. Yeah, so we had Rhonda open up the show, give a promo, basically she was asleep, which is like me right now. But she, says, Charlotte, you can't get yourself disqualified. You can't run away anymore, which is not what's happened. I mean, this is like an AEW setup where none of it makes sense. None of it actually happened. So Ronda demands an I Quit match at WrestleMania Backlash, and Charlotte on the Tron gave a little promo and then ended up with no, get to the back of the line, bitch.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And just quietly, we've got some comments in the comments section of the show. And shout out to the Professor Chavela Vera Cruz, who says, in breaking news, the Pope was almost kidnapped last night, apparently, Jeff. Is that true? Because I haven't even heard nothing.
Unless it's Elijah Burke, I don't know what that has to do with this.
Oh,
show.
yeah, no. It was Elijah Burke. I do remember hearing about it. And it was the Pope that apparently was a bad Uber. I don't want to laugh, but apparently he got an Uber. He jumped in the car. And then whoever this guy is ends up trying to kidnap the guy, man. I don't know any more details than that. It's pretty funny.
Because there goes your badass interpretation that was applied to Jacob Fatu and Alexander Hammerstone earlier in the night.
Well, apparently the Pope was actually pretty shook up, man. So
he's a man of God.
Jeez. Well, shout out to the Pope. I hope you're feeling better. And Chris,
I'm glad you're okay.
Absolutely. And Christopher Ames also says in the comments that push for Yuta is useless. I understand Tony wants to build the star all himself, but the kid can't talk. He's skinny as hell, and his in-ring work is lacking. He also goes on to say, and the main event of Hyper Battle was absolutely perfect. Physical storytelling. Okada is the man. Yes, I'm aware in saying that about a Japanese wrestler. Wow.
I agree with everything you said about Wheeler Yuta. I have no comment on the Okada thing because I didn't watch it and never will.
God, you don't rate Okada at all, actually, Jeff?
If he makes his way onto one of my TV screens, if he's on AEW or for WWE somehow or NXT or NWA or MLW, I'll happily watch him. I've seen him before, but I'm not going to watch Japanese wrestling. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in those anime characters with their ridiculous hair.
Well, they are like real life anime characters, actually. They really are. Even with their music, their look, everything about them. I love that about Japanese professional wrestling, though, man. It's something different. You know what I mean? It's not exactly like your Western style of pro wrestling. You know what I mean?
No, I don't.
It's just different.
I don't think
Well,
so.
You should watch it more often. If you watch like companies like MLW and Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling, and whatnot, I feel it's better than most of those companies in terms of.
Yet those companies are here and easily accessible on my TV. And if I want to see those people, I can see them, which is not the case. And they also generally speak English, which is helpful for me.
Well, you can always get New Japan World, which, speaking of New Japan World,
I'm absolutely not spending money on New Japan.
Well, you might actually. Who knows? Because, not that you need to, but New Japan World have secured the rights to Dynamite, AEW Dynamite and AEW Rampage to be screened on their platform for 9.99 yen for anyone interested.
Wow, that's so exciting.
That's a big deal. That is actually a big deal now that I think about it. Because
why is it a big deal?
I feel it's a big deal because we might get that super show that a lot of us are kind of clamoring for, and B, hopefully now we see an influx of New Japan wrestlers in AEW, in particular like your Okadas, who I'd love to see on Dynamite. I think it'd be crazy. Or your Naitos.
For what? There's already 200 wrestlers in AEW. Why do they need more? So let me ask you a question. People in Japan, how do they watch New Japan? Do they subscribe to New Japan World or do they just watch it on TV?
No, it's on television over there.
Exactly. So who's getting New Japan World? People get New Japan World are probably mostly American or Australian people who already get Dynamite. This is right. Nothing new. This is nothing. The people in Japan already see New Japan. So unless AEW Dynamite is on a channel in Japan, this is not an entry into the Japanese market. Now, is New Japan paying AEW? Is AEW paying New Japan? Is someone getting, what's the exchange? I mean, this is good for somebody. It's business. That's great. But I mean, there's about 119,000 subscribers worldwide to New Japan World. That is The last time I heard, this was about 4 months ago. The source is Brandon Thurston from WrestleNomics.
Right.
So it might be less now. It might be more now. I've heard nothing about New Japan. I'm going to guess that if anything, it's less. But let's just say it's the same. My guess is that there's some cord cutters in Japan who subscribe to World as opposed to using some other device. Probably not. But 95% plus of those people are out of Japan. Probably at least half of them are in the United States, and the other half are probably in the UK and Australia.
Well, that's actually true.
All of those people already have easy access to AEW television. What's the difference?
You're right. I mean, look, and you know what? You do talk sense. I mean, it isn't like they're on Japanese television, literally. But
this sounds a little bit to me like Warner has HBO Max, so obviously AEW is going to be on HBO Max. What? It's like you're going from A straight to Z.
Right, and I agree with that 100%.
I mean, it's like when Indonesia Disney got the rights to WWE Network in Indonesia. Everyone's like, WWE is being bought by Disney. No, that's not the way the world works.
That's crazy, man. But as far as AEW being on New Japan World, I think it's a good thing for AEW because really they're not in that many markets around the world when you think about it. Like technically, they're really not compared to WWE. You know what I'm saying?
Is the TNT app not available everywhere on Earth? Aren't they like on Fight TV or Be in the Zone or one of those? I mean, I'm pretty sure they've got some international streaming already. I just don't see how this is a big deal. If anything, maybe it adds value to New Japan Strong for their existing subscribers who are otherwise cord cutters. Other than that, I don't see this as being a big deal. Now, if New Japan's getting money from AEW for doing, well, it would seem that New Japan would be giving money to AEW for being able to air their rights. Maybe there's a revenue, maybe there's some sort of ad split or whatever. I just don't see this as being a big deal. I mean, it's not nothing; it's good, but I just don't think it's.
You.
Yeah, I think if they wanted to exchange talent, all it would take would be all will happen is that whoever's running New Japan now will go, Tony, hey, do you want to participate in the G1? Yes! I mean, whatever New Japan says, Tony jumps and says to, can we send you Tomoshiro Hiro? Can we send you Midget King Kong Bundy? Yeah, that sounds great. Everyone will be so excited. He gets on there and like, who the fuck is that?
Speaking of TK, I don't know if you caught his latest interview with Barstool Sports, or should I say Barstool Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I only wanted to watch it just to hear what he said about Cody, okay? Because apparently he was going to speak about Cody. I kid you not, I got even that, because he looked, every time I was looking at him, I was thinking of what you said to me, right? So I'm like, you know what? This guy fucking does look like a cokehead really deep down, right?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, not only did I waste my fucking time watching this shit, seriously, he's such a geek. He's such a fucking mark. I mean, seriously, dude, I can't stand him. I got all the way 95% through the interview just for me to turn it off and never heard what he said about Cody anyway.
He's actually perfect for wrestling if he would just let. I mean, I don't know, but just if he let Christopher Daniels and Dean Malenko book the shows, I'm sure they would at least make more sense.
Well, Dean Malenko's, got early signs of Alzheimer's, dude.
No, he has Parkinson's.
And I heard Alzheimer's too. I know he's got Parkinson's.
Oh,
but if he's got Alzheimer's
and Alzheimer's,
yes.
All right. Well, maybe. How about Dustin? Dustin could probably book wrestling. I mean, let him do something.
Speaking of Dustin, his daughter got married just a couple of days ago, but that doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. Dakota, yes. She got married.
She's nice. She's very nice on Twitter.
For sure, definitely.
She seems like a sincerely nice person.
100%.
But
congratulations. Absolutely. Here at the Blow Off, we congratulate Dakota Runnels.
Isn't she like a professional photographer, something like that?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I know she works for AEW though. She actually works, because I saw on her Facebook, because when I saw Dustin post on Facebook, Dakota was commenting as well. So I clicked on her page and it says she works in AEW. So
maybe
I don't know what she does.
The photos for their social media. I think she's a photographer or an artist of some sort. Anyway,
okay, well, whatever the case, yeah, good on her. Congratulations, and
well, more importantly, Carmella and Corey Graves got married, and Alexa Bliss got married too.
And Alexa Bliss, right? And
in Blizzakistan.
Hey, that looked nice wherever they were at. It looks like they were in somewhere in California to me.
Well, geez, what a surprise! Millionaires getting married in nice locations.
And Naya Snacks was apparently there too, eating up all the snacks, because she looked pretty big. I'm not gonna lie, man. She looked pretty huge.
Well, if you're gonna, she is big, and she was big, and she's not gonna be less big if she's not working 300 days a week. But a year. But next to Alexa Bliss, we'd look big.
Oh well, Alexa Bliss, man, she looked like she had a big wedding. For all you conspiracy theorists out there, did you see? Did you check out the floor? It was all the black and white checkered floor.
Oh no, I didn't check it out, but that's great. Maybe was the Fiend there? Did he come through the floor?
That would have been great.
You know what's great? The locked door yelling, "Let me in."
Oh man, that'd be funny. But you know what is great though, Jeff?
Me?
Have you ever? Yeah, do yourself a favor and everyone that's listening or watching us right now, type in YouTube like WWE ring announcers doing weddings.
Okay.
For example, like Howard Finkel, right?
Uh-huh.
And he's doing it like he's announcing the groom.
Dang, come on, man.
It's funny, dude.
Dead. At least pick on Bobby Cruz or Justin Roberts.
I'm not picking on Howard Finkel. I'm saying this is cool to see, dude. Come on now.
Is he an officiant? Is he like an ordained something or other? Howard Finkel is Jewish, I guess. So I guess he'd be a rabbi. Is he a rabbi?
No, he was just announcing, like emceeing the wedding. But the way he announces everyone, like even Bruce Buffer, it's great to see. It's funny, dude. Like it's pretty funny because they do it like they're doing like a UFC event or a WWE event. It's pretty funny to see. But yeah, man, there was a lot of weddings. A lot of weddings. How did the wrestlers all fit in this time to even attend these bloody things, man?
I guess that's why it's been a slow week in wrestling. Nobody could get any DUIs or get into any trouble while they're all invited to weddings. So good for them.
Shout outs to Jimmy Uso.
Everyone at home, make your own list. So yeah, what else? SmackDown. So we saw Gunther be escorted by Ludwig Kaiser, who, despite the reports, that was Martel Barcel, as opposed to Fabian Eichner, who we were told Fabian was coming up with Gunther, and Marcel was going to be left behind, but it seems it's the opposite. So Ludwig Kaiser coming out. Gunther beat some jobber, and Ludwig was like being like a maestro out there. He was like doing his opus kind of thing.
There's already too many of those types, Jeff. God.
Yeah, well, they were in bright red, almost like they were like the Soviet Union. I guess it's German red, but German Blitzkrieg red. So they're still. Listen, I know that people like this is a controversy. I am all for heels being heels, and I don't care what the insinuations are. Bad guys should be bad guys. I'm cool with it.
I agree 100%. But is it red for East German red?
I think it's just red for, militarism, just red for blood.
Red for blood. Why do they change the name?
Red usually means blood. That's what it usually stands for. The blood that's spilled to earn that country. In Japan, it's the sun, obviously.
Right.
It's not always blue, but.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But
anyway. Sky, unless it's water or it's landlocked. Then white would be sky. Yellow is usually gold. Green is grass and foliage usually.
And welcome to the school hour with Dr. Jeff Lippman.
Fun with flags with Sheldon. With Sheldon Cooper.
Sheldon Cooper. Oh my God, please.
And Lacey Evans came back and gave a pre-taped vignette, or I think it was pre-taped, whatever it was. She was doing she was in fatigues, so she's coming back as a face, and her fatigues had a deep V, so she was showing some cleavage. So yay, that was good. That was the only part that made this watchable. She is hot, but she was basically doing the Liv Morgan, like, I came from the rough home, and my mother was this, and my father was abusing me.
And that's the problem I have right there, Jeff, because she was the Southern lass, wasn't she? Like, the Southern sort of not poor, that's for sure. She was like more like a rich upbringing kind of thing, right? And now suddenly she's come from a hard place.
Well, it was a character, so that character wasn't working. So they're trying to repackage her, and this could work because she's also saying, United States Marine. She didn't talk
Oh,
about her
is
law
she?
enforcement, her
Okay, that's
SWAT.
good
Yeah.
because she's a
But
killer in real life, man. She's apparently very good with
right,
guns.
but she sounded like a sad sack. Basically, it was the Liv Morgan. My life was hard. This is my dream. Except added, I have a baby, and now I'm a mother too. I mean, it's all very sweet if it was the end scene of a like one of those The Vow or one of those like cult or real life crime shows that at the end you see the person's recovering and they're finally moving on with their life. This would have been fine as the closing segment for that. Go, oh, it's good. She survived and now there's hope. It was not a good wrestling promo. So this was a fail, I think. The Ludwig and the Gunter thing was fine. Everyone goes crazy about name changes. I don't. It was fine. Good, good to see him. But SmackDown, it didn't need to be watched. I would call it a C-.
Really? That bad?
Maybe I mean, there was just so much filler. Oh, I forgot. Raquel Gonzalez is now Raquel Rodriguez, and Los Lotharios tried to get a double kiss, and she said, not a chance, fellas.
Why are they doing this to everybody, man? Anyone now that's coming up to the main roster, it seems, they're changing their names. Why? I don't get it.
Okay, well, yes, you do, because we've had this conversation before, because they want to trademark the name.
But yeah, I get that, but they could have done that with their previous names anyway.
Maybe is Raquel Gonzalez not her real name, or did she ever use it on the Indies? Because she ever used it on the Indies? Like Walter used his on the Indies for years.
Right.
They owned Walter, but he also had a common law trademark before, so they want to own a new thing. The other thing is when you type in Raquel Gonzalez, what comes up? Pictures of her with Adam Scherr.
Right. That's
so
true.
Raquel
Actually, that's true.
So there's a bunch of just a few reasons for you. But the other thing is, this is what they do. Unless you come in famous, unless you're AJ Styles or Samoa Joe, they're gonna change your name.
That's true. That's very true. But that just came up. I don't know why that just started showing up, but that's true. Like we said before, the Pope was almost kidnapped last night.
For those who are just watching, this is it's still serious, but it's the Pope Elijah Burke, not the Pope in Rome. So not Francis II or whatever his name is.
Well, that would have been huge news if it was the Pope in Rome.
It would have been, Pope Francis. I think it's important for us to say it's the Pope Elijah Burke, who, yes, still sometimes wrestles, though he mostly talks on NWA.
Oh, God damn it. And you know what? I was a fan of his back in the day on Impact Wrestling or TNA, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
But he seems like other than NWA, really, no one seems interested in him.
Well, he's not very good at the wrestling thing, and if you can talk, that's fine. But they don't want him on commentary, which they could put him on commentary. Their commentary is terrible, but I don't know. I can't answer that for you. Maybe he said I want to wrestle, and they said, okay, you'll wrestle 3 times a year, and he's like, cool.
Heck, I used to even like him as Elijah Burke, but it is what it is. And anyway, Jeff, one other thing about SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going with Nakamura right now for the Undisputed Championship, or are we moving on to Drew McIntyre?
I don't think, even if we're moving on to Nakamura, it's going to be short-lived. No, I fully expect Nakamura to interfere. So I don't know if we said it, but the Usos, Roman's next step is that the Usos are going to unite the tag team.
Right.
So they're going to go to Raw and face the RK Bros. And Nakamura came out and then they gave him a super kick. Anyway, so Monday, I think it's more likely the Nakamura interferes in the tag team match. I don't think the Nakamura versus Roman is the thing. I think they're still evaluating Roman to see what his health is like. So, Nakamura, my guess, will get another partner. Maybe surprise us with someone. Maybe, LA Knight or Dexter Lumis or someone that they're going to raise up. I don't know.
Hell no. That just doesn't make sense. If that was to happen, that's just... I hope that doesn't happen. Put it that way, Jeff, please.
They love their mismatch, tag teams.
I know they should have called it the Mismatch Challenge. Remember that show? The Mixed Match Challenge or whatever the fuck?
Yeah. Obviously it's not what they're doing with Sami Zayn, but I positive maybe they'll just reform the Artist Collective and go that way. But it looks like they're doing something different with Sami Zayn. For the life of me, I can't remember what it was, but he had a match against Drew McIntyre, but he just avoided and got himself counted out.
Okay. Well, speaking of Sami Zayn, he said earlier in the week that match at WrestleMania 38 with Johnny Knoxville was one of his favorite matches of his career, if not his favorite.
It's fun. Who wouldn't want to live a cartoon?
True. I guess so. But, that surprised a lot of people, including myself in a way.
I mean, it's probably the easiest work he ever had to do in a match, and probably got the biggest bang for his buck. Why wouldn't it be? I mean, people like going to amusement parks. Why wouldn't you? This is the adult version of a kid jumping in one of those ball things, the jumping houses that people get at their birthday parties and they blow up, like the cages and all the moon bounces. They call moon bounces.
Well, like we said on the WrestleMania review show, which you can find at the pwcnetwork.pubbing.com. There you go, cheap plug. But it was a fun match, dude. I actually think it was a fun match. I thoroughly enjoyed it for what it was. Just as long as you look at it for what it was and not expect some sort of professional wrestling clinic. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it was good. You know what I mean? But you know what, Jeff? I want to get your thoughts on something that happened on Wednesday night on Dynamite.
Ooh.
And more specifically, the Hardy Boys match with Butcher and the Blade.
Oh.
What the hell was that, dude?
It was a train wreck. It was terrible. I mean, first of all, I don't know what's going on with AEW that they refuse to book matches where there's any doubt who the victor is going to be. I mean, there's like no suspense. I guess because they don't need to. But I mean, I'm tired of seeing Max Caster lose in matches because, of course, he's going to lose. And Anthony Bowens before him. They're just taking turns. But I don't get that. But the match you asked me about, I mean, it was sloppy. The Hardys can't work. Jeff is doing like his pay-per-view moment things weekly now, like they're nothing.
Yeah.
And the rules were really weird. Like it was an elimination tables match. And what was supposed to happen is if you put your opponent through a table with an offensive move, they're eliminated. So apparently it's no DQ, so they don't have to leave, but they're eliminated. And they mentioned that so many times there couldn't have been mistake. I mean, it could have easily been that nobody gets eliminated until both members of the team are put through a table. Okay, that's fine. That's a new wrinkle, but that would have made the match make more sense. Right. Anyway, the big deal is that Jeff Hardy, who was eliminated rather early in the match, he's the one who did the finish off the ladder onto a table, crushing the Blade or whoever it was, maybe the Butcher. I'm not even sure which one it was. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, right?
And that was the end of the match. So Jeff Hardy, who had been eliminated the last guy of the Butcher and the Blade, which isn't supposed to happen. Even though it's non-DQ, he's eliminated, so it should be moot. The match would have continued, which was terrible enough. And then the rest of the Andrade family office comes sauntering down so slowly, like they're completely not serious about doing anything. Like they're afraid of these two guys who just, basically just got themselves killed going through tables left and right. And Sting alone was able to catch up to them at age 63. He had like one of those like sword scabbards with his bat on his back. That was sort of cool.
Yeah, that was cool, actually. That was cool.
And then he chased them all away, and Andrade pulled the Macho Man Randy Savage and pulled the bunny in front of him as a shield. And the bunny looked like she was okay with it. She's like, hey, you're not going to do anything to me, big guy. I don't know. I was thinking about maybe I got distracted by the porn possibilities here, but anyway, Andrade sidled off, and Jose said "ooh" and ran away, even though he's actually jacked.
That's so stupid, but you know what? Andrade played his part really well. And speaking of Andrade, apparently Charlotte and Andrade are getting married this summer, dude.
More marriages.
Speaking of couples, more marriages, man. And get this, he also said to Charlotte that he doesn't want her to come to the wedding in Mexico, apparently it's going to be at, looking like Charlotte. And she goes on to say, what do you mean by that? He goes, less makeup. That's not a joke. That's what he said. So instead of looking like Cher, he just wants her to be her.
Okay. All right. Listen, it's their wedding. I don't have a lot of experiences with these things, but usually it's not a good idea to tell the bride what to do. Now I know it's like her 17th marriage, so maybe it's time to try something new. Anyway, listen, good luck to them. They got I mean, there's zero chance that if Ric Flair's still alive, he doesn't ruin that wedding.
Oh my God. Can you imagine that? All the Mexican side of the family will absolutely probably hate his guts or love him. It's one or the other.
They'll love him for the first 25 minutes and be like, This guy sucks.
Isn't Andrade a third generation wrestler anyway?
I have no idea. I mean, isn't everyone in Mexico like a 17th generation wrestler?
Yeah,
Like going back to Montezuma.
Probably, more than likely. Who knows? But yeah, man. I thought speaking of weddings earlier, I thought I'll touch on that. But let's move on to Ring of Honor news, actually, Jeff, where Ian Riccaboni talks plans for Ring of Honor before the promotion was purchased.
Riccaboni.
Riccaboni. It's the accent, Jeff. See,
Oh,
for me to say what you said, I'd say Riccaboni.
Uh-huh.
See?
Uh-huh.
So I'm Australian, so it's Riccaboni. The way we pronounce shit, it just sounds like that, Jeff. So
I wasn't aware you could pronounce names differently of people's actual names, but okay.
It's more got to do with the accent and how it sounds.
I see.
For me to do it like you, it's like me putting on half an American accent.
Okay. Well, let's hear what Ian, the Rock My Boner, said.
Well, he goes on to say, I'll give you a scoop that was kind of out of there, but it kind of unintentionally faded away on purpose. This event was intended to rebrand and relaunch before being purchased by Tony Khan. There was a logo that I've seen that I like, but I don't like it as much as the logo we have now, and I don't like it as much as the logo that I have on my shirt here. That's their new logo, but that was intended to launch at the new Supercard. That didn't happen, and there was some merchandise that went with it. So those are interesting. I've asked the previous owner if I can get some of that merch before they donate it or whatever they do with it. I've been told I cannot have it, so I'm a little disappointed. It is one of the rare pieces of merch. So, yeah, not really anything sort of newsworthy with that. I wasn't even expecting it to be about a logo.
So they invested in a logo and they invested in some merch, but they did not actually hire anybody to be on the card. That's terrific. The one thing I heard from Ian Riccaboni this week, Rock My Body this week, Rice-A-Roni this week, was that he had not heard anything from Tony Khan or the new Ring of Honor ownership about whether he'd be engaged or retained.
Really?
Yeah. So
he actually says another thing, actually.
Okay, well, let's hear it. Let's get to it.
And apparently, after the sale, one of the most comforting pieces of news was that allegedly that I'm getting my news from Dave Meltzer. I think here, which may or may not be accurate, he's usually on the money, though, that Tony Khan's group bought all of the equipment, including the padding around the ring, including the barricades.
They
and
did.
when we were doing...
We know
of
this.
Of course. I know.
He bought the production trucks. He bought all the equipment because AEW had been leasing this from TNT this whole time. So now he actually has his own production equipment. This is not news. This is maybe it's news to Ian Rice-A-Roni, but not to me.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. I don't know why he's even saying that. He also spoke about former AEW star and current WWE star, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, made Ring of Honor a destination promotion, and how Cody brought the highest buy rate for the promotion and got people interested. He goes on to say,
Cody made Ring of years ago.
Well, this is what he's saying. Okay. Cody made Ring of Honor a destination. Cody was a guy that came in when everybody said he couldn't do it or that he was too big for this company or that company. And why are you bringing Cody in? Cody popped our highest buy rate to the point ever. Cody came in and he got people interested and he made the connection with Bullet Club. It helped Ring of Honor take off. So to see him succeed too, to hear that massive ovation that he got and the masterful job of the commentary of just letting everybody hear it at WrestleMania, just letting everybody feel it, that's pretty neat. Cody might be an exception, but think about the WrestleMania. A Ring of Honor guy wrestled Steve Austin in the main event of night one. A Ring of Honor guy on night two had maybe one of the most fun matches I've ever seen against the guy from Jackass. Up and down the card, AJ Styles, Damian Priest, you name it. If they most likely have come from Ring of Honor.
Okay, this is really exciting breaking news. Like the rest of the world didn't know that a lot of these people went through Ring of Honor at some point. That Ring of Honor wasn't a place where some indie stars went and became bigger deals other places. Yay. Okay, great. Thanks, Ian. The interesting piece, listen, he's going happy, joy, because he wants a job and he should. He's playing all his cards right. He's saying absolutely nothing but everything with a smile. Good for him. Smart. He's a nice guy. They should hire him. He's better than Excalibur. He's better than Mark Henry. He's better than Paul White.
Do you think so?
Yeah, he's better. He's better than Ricky Starks. He's better than Chris Jericho. So, I mean, there's plenty of room for him on AEW commentary or otherwise.
Well, look, I like him too, but as far as if he's better, there's one nitpick I have with him. he's too chill, man. He's way too calm. He doesn't know, like, in big sort of matches, how to like emphasize excitement like the other guys do. Do you know what I mean?
There hasn't been a big match in Ring of Honor in 6 years. So I mean, what's to get excited about? We're dying slowly.
Oh, come on.
Really slowly.
Come on, man. To be fair, he's kind of been like, I prefer Kevin Kelly, put it that way.
It's like moving your mother to hospice and she's there for 14 months instead of 3 days. Come on. What do you expect them to do? All right, here's the news that I heard from Ring of Honor, which is important. Also shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, but it has been reported that much of the Ring of Honor existing roster, or what you would have associated with the roster, will not be engaged by Ring of Honor. Maybe some, but most of the new Ring of Honor roster will be mostly comprised of existing AEW talent. Shocker.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? So they're going to go with that sort of route?
I mean, isn't that what we've been saying the entire time?
Right, but I think that's a bad move too. You got to mix it up with some, like at least half the roster being like from the last year, the last sort of Ring of Honor sort of roster. You need that. I know Matt Taven is apparently signed with Impact Wrestling, right?
Yeah, but Impact Wrestling has like 90-day contracts.
Is it? Is that what's going on over there too?
I think so, yeah.
Well, nevertheless, I don't know. I think that might just alienate sort of your diehard Ring of Honor original sort of type of fans, man.
So there aren't any. This is why the company went out of business. There aren't any left.
Well, they got a decent showing for their last pay-per-view, obviously.
Apparently they didn't, because Steve was there, and obviously you didn't listen to Hammerlock Hangover, because he said that there might have been 700 people in the house, even
700.
20. So obviously Tony Khan bought 1,500 tickets. Or he bought 1,000 tickets.
More than 700
people decided, yeah, that seems pretty far, and it's late, and let's go to the Hall of Fame instead, or whatever.
Well, I heard that that basically there was a lot of walk-ins on the night of the pay-per-view.
Steve was there. He said that the building was more than half empty.
Really?
Yeah.
So it was topped off?
No, just empty. Wasn't topped off.
Well, funny enough, I never saw really any empty seats during the broadcast.
Well, he took pictures. Well, of course, because they're smart enough to do that. They do it every week on AEW, not showing you all the empty seats. They know how to do that. But there are pictures on the Hammerlock Hangover Facebook page that Steve took during the course of the show.
That's weird. That stuff doesn't. I'm a member of the Hammerlock Hangover Facebook page, and for whatever reason, I never see anything coming out of the Hammerlock Hangover page on my feed. I'm serious.
Neither do I. I'm serious too.
That's strange, though. That's kind of weird. Well, anyway, to New Japan news. It wouldn't be the blow-off without some New Japan news. Let's be honest, Jeff.
We're talking on New Japan again?
Yes, we are. New Japan Pro Wrestling announces that the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship has been vacated during last night's New Japan Hyper Battle 22 Day 5 event from the Ryoku Kurikan in Tokyo, Japan. An announcement was made by the promotion that the IWGP US Heavyweight title has been vacated. Sonata, who held the IWGP US Heavyweight title, revealed during last night's show that due to him suffering an orbital fracture at the 22 New Japan Cup event, he had no choice but to vacate the title, but no timetable was announced for his in-ring return. You're an ass. You're an asshole, Jeff.
Well, sorry. Yeah. Okay. So new. Oh, well.
I told you it's a slow week, man.
So the injury that Sonata got a month ago is he has to vacate the title. So the title they should have gotten 10 years ago when New Japan was interesting and he was interesting. Anyway, everyone's saying his knees are shot anyway. Isn't it like him and Naito? They have no knees.
Well, yeah, that's true. And also, Tanahashi is another one of those. But I was also going to announce that the full lineup of their 2022 Wrestling Dontaku event. And I know you're not interested, but just for our listeners, I'm just going to read out.
They're not interested either.
Well, I'm actually looking forward to this card because I think it's pretty strong.
Sorry.
But in the main event, we got the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match between Kazuchika Okada, your champion, versus Tetsuya Naito. Also, the IWGP United States Championship match between Hiroshi Tanahashi and Will Ospreay. We also got a junior heavyweight championship match between El Desperado, your champion, versus Taichi Ishimori, and also the never openweight championship match between Evil, who's champion, versus Tamatonga. We've also got an IWGP Tag Team Championship match between Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto, your champions, versus Jeff Cobb and Grado Khan versus Balak Fale and Chase Owens. And also the Junior Tag Team Championship is also on the line. Every belt, pretty much, Jeff, between Taguchi and Master Wato, your champions, versus Kanemaru and Duki. And also, last but not least, a singles match between Tangaloa and Yujiro Takahashi.
I love the tempura shrimp. Thank you.
Man, I can't believe you shit on it as much as you do. It is what it is. But that's Mr. Jeff Lippman, who's a huge fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Clearly, right, Jeff?
Yes, I love it when Optimus Prime fights the Decepticons. I love it when Voltron fights Ultraman. It's really exciting.
Oh, dude. Why do you so dislike Japanese wrestling?
Why do you like it so much? Do you speak Japanese?
I don't know.
I don't speak Japan, so why?
I know a few words like arigato.
I mean, I don't watch CML or AAA either. I don't watch wrestling from South America or from Russia. I mean, why would I watch something I don't understand? What's the purpose? I mean, wrestling is wrestling. There's tons of it. I don't know why anyone. I mean, I've been hearing for a year how great New Japan Strong is. It nearly killed me to watch 3 of these episodes because I promised people I would watch at least 3 episodes and give it a try. So boring. It's just wrestling. It's just half the same guys, some different guys. It's just wrestling. Same types of stories, same moves, same whatever. Big deal. Who gives a fuck? There's wrestling I can understand. So there is. There's interesting news that the people from Discovery Media said that they want everything on their cable broadcast channels to be PG. So I guess AEW is going to have to sell out too. And so PG Punk's really going to become PG Punk.
Oh, no. I hope that does not happen.
It's happening. That's what the head said. And he also said he's targeting $3 billion of budget cuts as well. So,
oof.
Yeah. Now,
but wait a minute. What about Discovery ID?
I don't know what Discovery ID is.
You don't know it? It's basically like a criminal type of channel.
Well, if that channel's doing well, it's probably okay. But they probably have a bunch of other channels which are either going to go away entirely or they're going to consolidate some channels and do whatever. But whatever it is, he's looking to cut $3 billion. Will that affect AEW? No idea. I have a feeling that one product on 2 networks is rather small potatoes compared to, if you're trying to carve up $3 billion. But sometimes the hedges get trimmed before big branches. So just something to keep an eye on. But the PG thing, that's happening. In other news, Los Parks got themselves fired from MLW after getting into backstage fights and taking liberties during, which these 2 things are related, with chairs on Fatu and Hammerstone. Seemingly people that you wouldn't want to take liberties on, but but it happened. And then they got into a fight on the backstage, or maybe their restaurant, which is their gimmick now that they sell food, but the food's terrible. Maybe their restaurant, maybe their food, they were doing catering and everybody got sick and they got fired for that. I don't know. But those Parks, LA Park and his sons, Hijo de LA Park and LA Park Jr.,
which is the original La Parca, right?
I think so because the guy's like 60. So
right. It is. The other one died, didn't he?
Yeah, he's the one who did the tope suicida and actually basically crushed his head.
Right.
His neck. Yeah, it was terrible. It was like maybe 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and then later for a bit. Tragic. So that's some of the exciting stuff. There's new tag team champions in MLW. You got EJ Nduka and Calvin Tankman. Myron Reed is your middleweight champion. So they seem to have a little bit of alliance going on. I don't know. I mean, Raw, Cody's return, I think, was the highlight. Veer, his return was a big wet fart. It was nothing.
It was shocking, dude. Veer, really. He's back. He just came all over the Mysterios, literally.
That's right. He just came. He just came hard on Dominic. Listen,
have you seen the memes?
I'm down for people beating up the Mysterios whenever possible. But
man.
I mean, for a 10-month build up for him returning, that it was a giant thing of nothing, a giant bowl of this could have been any Raw, any main event, This could have been anything. And Elias came back looking
Ezekiel.
completely different, looking more like Chris Adonis than Elias. His entire body has changed. His entire posture is different. And he's not Elias. It's Ezekiel, Elias's younger brother. So
they've killed him. They've killed him, Jeff.
I think it's funny. I think it's good. I think he looks great. So I'm hoping he has this whole like Rick Martel model gimmick thing going.
Oh man,
yeah, it'll be fun. They're killing him, but he was already dead. Nobody, the Elias thing was over for about 8 months, and then it was done. It was, So I don't know. Whatever. He looks great. Let's see where it goes. I mean, I know that Let It Play Out is like sort of like the platitude of the insane. Yeah,
right.
But it made me giggle, and it looks like he's going to be in a thing with Kevin Owens. So I mean, if they can make it work, they will. So, and if it doesn't work, he just it's like Matt Hardy hits his head and he becomes Elias again, or maybe he becomes his older brother Elijah.
Imagine that, Elijah. Oh man, I don't know. This smells like Bruce Pritchard, like 100% doing this. I don't know why. It just comes across that way.
They took a long time to come up with not very creative things.
Unbelievable, man. Well, I just wanted to cap off the blow off. I just want to talk about talking smack. I don't know if you caught that right after SmackDown. Did you catch that at all?
Never seen it in my life.
Really? Well, there's some actually interesting tidbits actually on the show. But in particular, apparently Dutch Mantel was on there talking how basically Cody shouldn't be the one to be the guy to get Roman Reigns' championship. He believes that it should be Randy Orton, 42-year-old Randy Orton, who could
stop.
Well, that's what he thinks. What do you think, anyway?
I think I'm surprised you didn't say Jack Swagger.
Yeah.
I think the interesting news to come out of SmackDown wasn't anything that Dutch Mantel said. It was that Curtis Axel and Arya Daivari were.
Oh yes, I heard about these
tryouts to be producers.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, and Arya Daivari, he's been all over the Indies. So, if the Indies are so great, tell me why both him and his brother, who had jobs with many major promotions and were booked all over the place, why they would rather be producers. So, anyway,
why would Curtis Axel even be a producer? I mean, it's weird, man.
Have you seen him on a card anywhere, any place in the last 3 years? Since
nowhere.
Well,
nowhere.
So do you still need to ask why?
But do you think is that sort of like over professional wrestling because of his push in WWE, or he's just I don't know.
Maybe he has a mind for professional wrestling. I mean, he is actually a third generation wrestler. Just because he's not particularly good at it and never really had the physique for it and the charisma doesn't mean that he doesn't have the mind for it. They say those who cannot do teach, and so maybe he can teach. Maybe he can go. Listen. He did some things that could have been entertaining if it was just like Wardlow's body.
True, that's a big if. But the thing is, I didn't think it was too bad. There was a couple of times where I thought, you know what, maybe he can get somewhere, not become a huge star or anything like that, but at least get somewhere.
Listen, if he's more creative, then this is what they came up for Veer's comeback. This is what they put on the air for Lacey Evans' return vignette. And that's what they came up with for Elias. If he's even a sliver of a scintilla more creative than that, it's an upgrade.
Well, in saying that, Jeff, I think we can take it home right now, man. Please tell them where they can find you.
Sometimes right here. You can ask Jimmy. I'm on a bunch of shows with him. I'm now the not the fourth ugliest girl. I'm the third ugliest girl. So with Big Daddy Cool, Steve Pena, we do Hammerlock Hangover. That's a wrestling podcast, comes out weekly. My non-wrestling podcast, Garden of Doom. Today I'm interviewing a guy who wrote a book called UFOs in the Bible. We're gonna get all grammarian and syntax and how there were mistranslations. So that's exciting stuff. But mythology, things that go bump in the night, that's Garden of Doom. And Garden Views is more like mainstream interviews on sort of like hard-hitting sort of topics of the day, student loans, the laws of war, things like that. So check that shit out. But wherever you can find Jimmy T, oftentimes you can find me.
Awesome, absolutely. And speaking of finding me, you can find me right here in Hamin Media Group and at the blowoffwrestlingpod.com. Also, you can find me on channelattitude.com and at the pwcnetwork.podbean.com. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can at the PWC Network and also at DJ Mass Effects. I think that's about it, Jeff.
Ooh, I should say Twitter, right? At Icarus Fell MD. And also, I did a Professor's Perspective on the PW Hustle YouTube. So it was the Cody Rhodes Conspiracy. So check that out on YouTube. Apparently, it's it's done pretty well. So check that out.
Absolutely. Shout out to the professor once again. Well, in saying that, I'm Jimmy T. He's Jeff Lippman. You've been listening to The Blow-Off right here at theblowofpod.com and on Hamid Media Group. Peace.
Stay evil, my friends.